Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the DoubleClutch.ca podcast. I'm your host, Nick, managing editor of this fine establishment, and I'm joined in studio by my co-hosts, Nathan and Imran.
And for those who might not be aware, we've been running this magazine for the better part of 10 years, more or less to give ourselves an excuse to play with whatever the latest and greatest cars are these days. Imran, why don't you tell me what you're playing with this week?
Playing with,
yeah.
a Lincoln Corsair Reserve.
We were talking about this last week.
Yeah, and am I getting old?
Yes.
Because last week I liked the Buick,
Yep.
and this week I really like this Lincoln.
I'm younger than you, and I liked it, I think, more than you did. This thing's great.
Yeah, like
It's terrific.
Like everything about it. I know, Nick, you were saying, so we have it's spec'd in ocean blue.
Yes. For our dear listeners, I definitely do not like those primer-ish gray colors. Very few cars can actually pull them off. And I'm not a big fan of like that bluish gray primer thing that's going on.
Yeah, just like non-metallic
Corsair.
paint, like non-metallic mid-hue paints, like
gray especially.
So I feel like Lincoln did that because if you see a black one or a white one, you assume airport limo.
yeah.
So having a unique color, I think, hey, it's like this is someone actually owns this car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it looks pretty good.
It works. I like the blue. Also,
yeah.
the blue and gray is like the same spec as like the new kitchens of all these Lincoln customers. Like they're all blue and gray as well.
It is very on trend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of Gasp, that Porsche color. I forget what it's called, but Porsche has a color that's kind of similar.
It's not chalk.
No,
Chalk's
it's
more
not
white.
chalk. Yeah, I'm not going to remember what it's called.
Everyone's got one now.
But yeah, it
literally
seems like
everyone.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like this blue though. The blue works.
yeah, I could do without some of the black accents. I don't know if that was a standalone package or not, or it just comes on the reserve model.
I'm pretty sure it is. We were talking about this off mic earlier that like I don't see the need of all these OEMs to offer like sport black appearance packages on all of these cars.
So, funny anecdote. When I posted that Whirlpool white thing on Instagram a few days ago, almost every picture that I found of all the crossovers we've tested this year, every single one of them has some sort of white paint option, black wheels, black trim.
Yeah,
Every single one.
dare to be different.
Yeah, well, it's the support,
Yeah.
right, side of it. So yeah, Lincoln didn't need to go there. I mean, it's a classy-ish brand. There's nothing sporty about the Corsair.
I do like that about the Corsair in that it doesn't. It's honest, because a lot of crossovers out there, they're trying to be something they're not. They're trying to be overly sporty,
Yep.
overly aggressive, overstyled. But the Corsair is a coach on wheels. It embraces its coach on wheels mantra, and it pulls it off extremely well.
Yeah, but like in a good way. It's the power is good. It's
Yeah, like it's not
smooth,
to
the
say like
engine's
it's a
quiet.
bore to drive. Like it handles
no.
well enough. Like it
Yeah.
moves well. Like
Yeah, like I think they really nailed it. I think the only reason it probably doesn't sell as much as it could is because nobody thinks about a Lincoln
yeah,
at all.
yeah, which is kind of a shame because like they're nice. Like they're really nice. And I don't think there's a Lincoln they make right now that we all don't like, more or less, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first Lincoln I've driven in. I don't remember last time I drove a Lincoln, but I was very impressed. The interior is it's nice.
I think
Like
the interior
really
is
nice.
The interior is what really surprised me the most. I was fully expecting just a fancier Escape with like maybe some nicer leather here and there and some tight and some tighter stitching, but it really does hide its Escape roots incredibly well.
Yeah, I was expecting some cheapness somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
expecting some panels to squeak and stuff.
There's
Yeah.
a bit of hard to touch plastic on the door panels and lower dash, but everything's pretty well screwed together.
Yeah.
And it's nice materials. It's a nice vehicle. Good place to sit.
Yeah, I feel like all the touch points and everything are quite solid. The infotainment system is the UI is pretty good.
Yeah, it's slick. mostly slick. It's like really animated, you were saying. So
Yeah.
like some animations tend to hang a tiny bit, but overall works pretty well.
Yeah, like you sit into the thing and there's like a starry night sky
Yeah.
that comes up on the gauge cluster
Fancy.
and a Corsair logo that like
Yeah.
fades in on the infotainment
And the little like,
screen.
well, they had like, so the vehicle, from what I recall from when I wrote the review last year of mine, was that like all the sound effects, like when you open the door, there's that piano chime.
Yeah.
That was, forgive me, I don't remember. It was, I want to say, I don't remember. I don't want to pretend to remember. Some cities like Symphony Harmonic.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
That they like hired to do these tones for that vehicle.
So I came out of, and we talked about this last week, the Forerunner.
Yep.
And the Forerunner yells at you for the lane departure warning.
Yeah.
It's like a microwave beep. It's just, it's irritating. And I found that for a lot of Toyota products.
Yeah.
The Lincoln, it like gently just like nudges you anytime you're like doing something that is wrong. Your seatbelt's not on. It's the softest chime ever.
Yeah.
You know, like
Excuse me,
it's-
sir. Your
yeah.
seatbelt isn't on.
Yeah, it felt good. It reminded me of, I remember one of our first episodes, actually, we were talking about the Genesis GV70.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the same thing,
Yeah.
that it was like subtle in the way it reminded you or warned you of these things. And Lincoln has that down pat.
Yeah.
It was nice. And also, both you guys said this when I was picking it up or a couple days before, was that sound system is
Amazing.
magnificent.
Yeah, the Revel sound system is so good.
Yeah, that is freaking good. I went for a solo drive on my own yesterday at night just because I wanted to hear it. I just wanted to like crank it up.
Yeah, it's so good.
it was-
like really impressively good.
Yeah, like I know not everybody loves that sort of mimicking a concert hall kind of thing, but I don't know. I like it. I think it sounds
And like you can
awesome.
tune that in or out, right? Like
Yeah.
it's very flexible in that regard.
Yeah, I was really impressed. And I think I don't want to. I always get this wrong, but the pricing, I think it was around 58. I was looking at it.
I was going to
yesterday.
say, okay, I
pretty
thought
good
I
value.
recalled that being 58. That's pretty
Yeah.
healthy. So
Yeah.
that puts it right smack in with the Buick we were talking about last week and the Lennox, the Linux and X.
Dude, that's actually a few grand cheaper than the NX350.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in the 60s. The NX, wasn't it?
Well, my PHEV was 64, but I
Right,
think
it
like
was a PHEV.
comparably equipped. It's,
No, the,
it's about the same-ish
The
range.
350 we had like a couple weeks ago, that was like high 60s for the gasser.
Yeah, but that was
Also
also
turbo
like F Sport 3 and this, that, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, but this
like,
was also like fully loaded. This
Yeah,
Corsair.
yeah.
yeah. What I'm saying is that with the Lexus, we're paying like $7,000 for sport things that
Aren't sport.
we're not going to use, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's
Yeah.
what this Lincoln just doesn't even try to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's so much better for it.
Yeah, it just embraces the whole comfy couch thing. It's so quiet.
Yeah, yeah. I actually think it's like my second favorite SUV so far. In that,
Wow.
I mean, we'll get to the M SUVs and stuff like that, but in this category, in this like realm of normal, we'll call it. I was very impressed. Like
Yeah.
the GV70 still for me is something special.
Yeah.
But this one I was very much impressed with.
Yeah, good vehicle.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll take that cue to hand over to me. So we were kind of like alluding to sport utilities that shouldn't do the sport utility thing, shouldn't be sporty, don't focus on trying to be sporty. It's a lost cause. BMW didn't get that memo this week, and they
Nope.
sent us an X5 M Competition
In what color?
in Isle of Man green,
Right.
which was the same like swamp monster Hulk green. That's like gorgeous. That does it a disservice. It's such a gorgeous shade of like emerald green, like a deep metallic emerald green.
It is. I think it works better on the X6 than the X5, though.
I kind of agree with that. Like it suits like the slightly more exotic shape
Yeah.
of the X6.
Yeah.
It leans into like the swamp monster look that I like kept kind of leaning into with that.
Yeah,
thing.
I feel like
Yeah.
the X5 has too much of a traditional SUV shape
Does look
for it to
better.
have a wild color.
It does look better in the more subtle colors like carbon black and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of them in like that deep whatever sapphire blue BMW has, whose
Yeah.
name I can't recall off the top of my head right now.
I
Yeah.
don't want to say it's tanzanite blue because that's more so on this on the
Your
standard
M8 was
X5.
that color. Either way, whatever. The point is, it
Yeah,
looks great.
Yeah,
What did you guys think? You all just took it out for a spin.
that thing pulls
Oh.
fucking hard.
Yeah, it moves.
yeah.
Holy, yeah, it's physics defying.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's ridiculous how something that big can move that well. And moreover, like, of course it's going to be fast. It's a BMW. Every BMW is 5 million horsepower. They all boogie. And now with hybrid assist, they just boogie harder.
Yeah.
So what's new for 2024?
New for 24, so thanks for putting me on the spot with that one, Nick. Facelift for 24, so slightly revised front end. So like I think tighter lighting. It's got the angular halos that we're seeing on some of their newer cars. Drive Assist Pro is now a feature. So like it's hands-free driving.
Oh yeah, lane change and everything.
Yep. And
nice. I should have mentioned Lincoln does that too. I was so shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the Beamer.
And what else is there? And like so many other like of the big BMWs this year, I think mild hybrid is new to this. I don't recall, to be honest.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It also gets the new infotainment, right? The
yes, new
single
infotainment.
piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel kind of spoiled. I've had so many of like 24-year BMWs this year that like I can't forget. Oh, that's right. This big screen is new. I've had 5 of them.
Like,
one, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, that thing is very confident. I stomped on it a little bit and looked down, and there was a little bit of this fast.
But like shockingly good handling. Like half the time, like in my head, I'll write off like a performance SUV. Like how good can this possibly be? It is 5,000 pounds. It is 6 feet off the ground. Like it's going to be fast in a straight line and ride too hard and be good at nothing. And this is a tiny bit too hard, but like it's built to be that way because it handles so well. Like the way this thing turns in, and like if you really hustle it through a corner, it wants to rotate. Like I encountered that last night. I was like, wait, is this thing trying to rotate on me? Am I encountering a moment of oversteer in an SUV? Really? Is this happening right now?
So wait, you said it rides a little too hard? I actually thought the opposite. Maybe I'm not that old. I actually looked because you had the individual settings on, right? And I actually thought it was in like maybe sport or comfort, and I looked and it was in sport plus suspension.
Oh, I didn't leave it that way.
And
and
I thought it was perfectly compliant.
Like don't get me wrong, it's not rough. Previous like of the harder M SUVs have been like a little too flinty. They've done a pretty good job dialing that out with this.
Well, it's more like sports car firm.
It is definitely sports car firm, and there's also just like the amount of energy being conveyed through those like enormous wheels and tires. There's just like a non-zero amount of secondary vibration. I think the biggest thing with me, and this is not a knock against the vehicle, it's more just kind of a philosophical question that maybe you guys can fill in for me. I've had a few like X6, 7 Series, whatever, M60i vehicles this year that have like the new S68R engine with like 500 million horsepower and 700 million electric torques. And like adaptive air suspension and really good steering and a great chassis and this and that. And I wonder who gets into that vehicle and goes, I need more. I want something more driver focused, something harder, louder, faster, sharper, but definitely still a big SUV.
I mean, BMW makes the XM, so they're very aware that part of their target market is the flex market.
Yeah.
Because that's what the XM is, and
it is
some
super
of these,
flexy.
Yeah, and some of these higher ended or top trim BMW models, I think, fall into that category, and they're well aware.
Yeah, but like the X5 is like one of the stealthiest vehicles they make now. Like it has like the classic BMW fascia, if that means anything, like the smaller lights. It doesn't have the big sniff or the divorced lighting of the 7s. Like it's almost subtle. And like it again, not to knock it, it drives ridiculously well. Like it handles bewilderingly well for something its size in general. Like, I mean, it's so good.
I mean, I guess I applaud BMW for, they're very much why not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see this exact X5 M in this color with those family stickers on the back,
right?
Like a soccer mom, just like me, my 2 kids, and the 1 cat and 1 dog.
Well, and I get I guess for the application, I don't know, this is your only car, you drop the kids off at school, but you still really care about driving dynamics,
right? And
you're not afraid to flaunt it because this thing is ridiculously fast.
For a rolling oxymoron, it is surprisingly competent at blending comfort and sport. I find.
Yeah, I feel like the XM is a bit of a rolling oxymoron, especially given that it's on green vehicle plates.
Yeah,
and even heavier and bigger and more ridiculous, and I find doesn't drive nearly as well. Whereas the X5 M Comp is competent. It's very competent at what it does. I personally would save whatever. I haven't looked at the price on this thing yet. But I would pocket the 30-40 grand difference and just go for an X5 M60 because it's still so fast and handles so well. I don't know what that extra edge is for, but if you want it, BMW does it.
Well, it's the same. It's a similar case for the now previous generation 5 Series. Why go for the M5 Comp when the M550i was already so good?
We also said the same thing about the M8 versus the 850.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a recurring theme here.
Yeah. It's just a little like too hard, too much. Not a bad thing, I just don't quite get it. Also, being that it's an SUV, if you want to go faster, get a car. That's kind of where I get lost personally.
Yeah, but I think we're now in the era where like people are not compromising here. They want a fast SUV.
Yeah, they want all of this stuff in one package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in an SUV. I don't even mean in one package. Like
Yeah.
they want it in an SUV.
Yeah.
They feel that that's better. They like how it looks or what have you. The
Yeah,
commanding
ingress
road
and egress.
presence.
The view over the road.
Yeah, so I think that's just like it used to be back in the day where it's like a sporty SUV was because I had no choice.
Yeah.
Because single car driveway or whatever. And I want something that's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not practical, right? For me to have multiple vehicles. That's not the case anymore. Now people can have multiple vehicles and still have an X5M.
Yeah.
And because it's their
Yeah,
fun
it's
car.
just a desirable thing on its own.
Yeah.
And it is fun. That's what shocked me the most. It's genuinely very entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was great. Like,
Yeah.
The last X6 I tested, I remember I was never a fan of the whole concept of the X6. I've always thought it was kind of absurd that it's a equally excessive but slightly less practical version of the X5.
Yeah.
But I remember taking my favorite series of on-ramps in Toronto with the X6M, and the first thing I thought was, once I got out of the twists, I'm like, holy shit, this thing can fucking boogie for a big ass SUV that's also obnoxious as hell.
Yeah, like it shrinks around you. It hides its size. It's like an astonishing engineering exercise.
Yeah, they've done that for a lot of their models. I mean, we said similar things about the 7 Series that we had last week, right? That they do shrink around you as big as they are. When you first get in, you get this sense of like this is a big car. It's not going to move.
Yeah.
And then you start going, and you're like, holy shit, this is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Really impressive stuff.
Yeah, and this is coming from a guy who's multiple times said he's not a BMW guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, almost everything I've driven, I've been impressed with.
Shockingly excellent. Yeah.
Right.
Clearly something's changed.
Yeah, it's because I got that 328 now, right?
Oh, yeah. Clearly.
Because that's the same.
Obviously, yeah. It's a 230 horsepower compact
right.
sports sedan versus a 5 bajillion horsepower SUV.
It was like, especially for me, it was kind of a weird surprise coming off like the 760 last week, which was bigger, like substantially larger vehicle than this
Almost
SUV,
as high too,
and substantially softer and nearly as high, right? So like that thing was
crazy.
Like decidedly, for lack of a better word, boaty, right? Like much softer, much quieter, featherweight steering. This X5M does none of that. Like none of that. And also, like before we keep making this mistake, it's not an X5M because they've deleted that. There's no M's anymore.
Now it's just comp.
Now it's just comp because I think.
Oh, it's just X5 Competition? That's what it's called?
So can we have a minute to discuss this? Because I've been kind of accusing BMW of a long time before I actually started driving them, of like watering down the M name. Like, can you walk onto a BMW dealership and get any new BMW vehicle without an M badge on it somewhere? Is that a thing?
The 2 Series maybe?
I tested the
I think it was a 230i or something,
230i
right?
X-Drive, and that was a base 2 Series.
Was there an M?
I don't think so.
Not on like the door sills, a wheel, the steering
I don't
wheel.
think so.
You're really sure about this? Not even like the badge wasn't the
Sometimes they hide it on the rim, you know?
the
Like there's a little
23,
M.
like 50 years of motorsport badge. Not a one.
It did not have the 50 years of motorsport badges.
There you
Okay.
go. We found a
But to
unicorn.
my point, the fact that we had to think this hard about it.
Also, I think the X1 that Ben had last year was also a non-M Sport, and that one, no. I think that still had M badges on the wheels.
Yeah. So I think as kind of sort of an acknowledgement that BMW has been sort of watering down the M name for so long. Like M stands for marketing, not motorsport anymore.
Says everyone on the internet.
And with how good the base vehicles have gotten, like the M40 and the M60i.
Yeah.
Because the M60i effectively has replaced the M's now.
Yeah.
And what used to be the M is now the M Competition. They've had to differentiate, like, okay, these are the real harder M's. Competition is the name now. So X5 M Competition.
Not unlike Blackwing.
Exactly. Actually, very much like that. Yeah. So like CT4V Blackwing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, which company doesn't do this now, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have, heck, Acura with their A-Spec and even AMGs, right? There's
Yeah.
multiples
Yeah,
of
there's
AMGs
the S and the
now,
Black Series
right?
and whatever else.
Yeah, I find like everybody's doing this
Mm-hmm.
now. So they're not the only ones, but I will say they are probably when they're putting an M on a car, of any spec, there's a lot of M's that go everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that like now what used to be M, right? Because like now you can't buy an M5. You can get actually don't know what you can't get a 560 because Mercedes has a trademark on that. So I don't know what the 5 comparable would be. But there's the M5 Competition.
Yeah. The redesigned 5 Series,
Is it
the
5
plug-in.
M60? I know there's i5 M60,
Yeah.
but what about the gasser?
it's PHEV only. The 60 is PHEV, yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So the
Oh.
only gasser you can get in the new 5 Series lineup right now, the only strict gasser is the 530i.
Huh.
Everything else beyond that is
Is the i5 whatever?
electrified of some sort. Yeah,
Huh.
it's either a PHEV or fully electric.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, not to veer off course too much, but I don't like the new redesign on the 5 Series.
I think I didn't like it in photos. Having seen it at BMW so many times this year, it looks pretty good.
Really? I saw I must have seen like a 530 or something. I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought the front end looked disconnected.
I don't love it, but very much like so many 5 Series of the past, like they don't land well.
Yeah.
But like give it a while to digest, and all of a sudden it starts making sense. Like the E60, no one liked the E60.
Yeah.
So for those who might not be aware of chassis codes and aren't this nerdy, the 5 Series that debuted in 2004, like one of the first Chris Bangle cars, but like the very angular headlights and stuff. Nobody liked that. It was
Yeah.
one of the ugliest cars in the world, and now that car aged really well. That car looks great.
I don't know if it looks great. It's still weird.
I would say it still looks fairly modern.
Yeah.
Considering where the rest of BMW's lineup is now,
Yeah.
it does look fairly modern.
Yeah, you could put blacked out trim and 23-inch wheels on it. It'd be a brand new BMW right now.
Black optics. You
Yeah.
just need the black optics. What's the nicest looking BMW today?
Ooh, that's a toss between the Z4 and the 8.
Yeah, the more I see the Z4, the more I'm like, I like.
I
There-
think the Z4 might have been my favorite press car this year. I
There-
really like that thing.
There are still some awkward angles on the 8, I find. Like from the rear 3/4 or the rear head on, it looks pretty bulbous. But the 8 definitely does have presence.
Tons of presents.
Yeah.
In terms of which was the best looking, I think I'm with Nathan on this one. I think it's a Z4.
Yeah, that the press car was plum colored too, right? And it
Yeah.
was like
I think it's Thunder Night Rush, if my memory serves.
Thunder Night Rush.
Thunderlight.
No, it's Thunder Night. I
Thunderlight Rush.
remember JF said it was like Thunder Night something. I think it was Thunder Night Rush. I'm not 100% sure.
Sounds like a Viagra competitor.
But it looked great.
Oh yeah, with white interior too. That was a phenomenal spec.
Yeah, that. So I actually didn't see the presser, but I actually saw one of those purple or
Yeah.
plum or Thunder Night Rush or whatever
I'm
it's
pretty
called.
sure- dude, I'm pretty sure
and
it's
it looked
Thunderlight.
phenomenal.
I think it's Thunder Night.
Are you mixing things up?
Let me look this up.
Here, we're off by like one letter. But yeah, before that, if you asked me that maybe 5 years ago, I'd probably say that the last genuinely good-looking BMW was the Z8.
Oh yeah, the Z8. Yeah, I saw one of those on
Dude,
like
that was
Auto
20
Trader or
years ago.
something, But
I know.
Okay.
what about a 2008 328 Xi?
No.
You jackass.
No.
No, I think I'd say Z4 as well. The 8 feels like you said, tons of presence, but it feels like it was a large sedan that was turned into a coupe a little bit. Like something about it just feels almost too big,
Yeah.
which for me takes away a little bit of that styling. The Z4 I think is pretty bang on, which is funny because when I first saw it, I thought it looked
Yeah,
weird in
I
pictures.
didn't love the portioning of it when I saw it in pictures, and then I saw
Yeah.
it in person. Like, yo, this is delicious.
Yeah, very much so.
Speaking of delicious, I love being right.
Thunder Night.
So I was half wrong. There's no rush. It's just Thunder Night Metallic.
Okay,
But it is most certainly Thunder Night.
Where did the rush?
Because what is Thunder Light?
Where did the rush
That's not a thing. Thunder is sound.
Clearly reading comprehension greater than me.
And I've just thought of a decent segue. So speaking of sound, Imran, why don't you tell us about the Mercedes C43 you just took for a test drive?
That is an interesting vehicle. First of all, their instrument cluster is it's a little love it or hate it, I find. When I first sat in, it had like that fighter pilot looking setting on it.
Yeah.
Which at first I was kind of like, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, actually, it looks kind of cool. Like the TAC, for those who might not be aware, so the center is like a little, I forget what, little information display, I think, with a speed readout.
Yeah.
And then like the TAC itself is just a circle that grows out from that.
Yeah, it looks like a radar.
Yeah.
And even the heads-up display has the same radar look to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, that's kind of the first thing that kind of stood out to me even before I started the thing. But then when you get moving, I had it in Sport Plus mode, and the sound, which is what you're referring to. I didn't love that. I found that there's a lot of piped-in engine noise, which is virtually every car today. But it was disconcerting because a lot of the noise was coming from the back speakers.
That's because it's rear-engined.
It literally, it felt like I'm driving a 911 or something. Like, it was really strange.
I noticed that. Okay, so I thought that was just me, because I've been driving my buddy's old Mercedes around all week.
Yeah.
So I was used to like the noise coming from the front of the car.
It's actually your former Mercedes.
Yes, but it's his now.
Yeah.
And so when I got into this Mercedes, like, why is there so much noise coming from the back of the car? And I just wrote
Right.
it off as like sport exhaust making noise out the back of the car where it belongs. That tracks, right? It's a turbo engine. It has no induction noise. So yeah, it would all be at the back of the car.
No, because John, and how tall is John?
6'3"?
Yeah.
So he has, and then so I was in his seating position at first, and I am not 6'3", and so the rear speakers were kind of close to my ears,
Right.
and it was very obvious that
Yeah.
it's coming from the back. Even like the pops and bangs were accentuated with the rear speakers, and I just thought it was really weird.
Little hammy. Little like too over the top. And I get they're trying to replace like some of the character that's been lost by the V8, or that the 43 wouldn't have had a V8 anyway.
No, it had would have had the V.
Did C ever get the straight six?
No, the Ford. It was a turbo. It was a
Yeah,
turbo.
The
Either
Ford
way,
definitely had the 6 before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a lovely engine in
Yeah, it was a great motor.
pre-refresh.
Yeah.
But I honestly can't remember if it was an inline or a V6.
Pretty sure it was an inline. Either way, all the newer-ish AMGs, except for the biggest ones, are all the Turbo 4 now. And like AMG will say, like, oh, it's the most powerful four-cylinder in the world, and on the 63s, not the 43s.
Yeah,
Sure, but it still lacks a lot of character.
Yeah.
Even the Turbo 4 hybrid in our C43 tester still loses quite a bit of character compared to the 6.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and again with that piped-in noise, like that is very obviously fake. Don't particularly enjoy that. I mean, there is power. The power is there.
It's punchy.
It's 400 horsepower. It's
Yeah.
not nothing.
Yeah, and I do I commend them for being sort of the first to really take the leap into we're going to make a sporty car that is a hybrid. Not many people have done that.
Is it a hybrid?
Well, like it's like
Mild hybrid.
mild hybrid.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So, but it does feel very first generation. I'd say.
How so?
Like there's a lot of. I feel like the power is not necessarily linear. There's a little bit of clunkiness sometimes when you're taking off from a light. You could kind of feel it, like it's confused a little bit, which I just found, a little bit odd.
Okay.
But other than that, like it's, exterior wise, it looks pretty good. I think it's a good looking car. I said baby S class, and you said that the S class is actually a large C class. But regardless, I think they're good looking cars.
Yeah, there is this idea of like, I was just reading about this from Bruno Sacco, who used to be chief of design at Mercedes, He had this big idea about horizontal homogeneity, where like all cars should look like they're from the same family, and that tracks. That makes sense. Everyone's doing that now. I just think Mercedes is doing it a tiny bit too well. Like the C looks like an E, which looks like an S.
Well, you could, yeah, you could still say the same about Mercedes in the early '90s as well. Everything had sort of that boxy, squared off look.
Except for the
Yeah.
E. The E was always different.
No,
right?
even the 190e, like the one that came before when they went to those round headlights and.
Yeah, you're probably right. I might not be being fair. I think the wheels on that thing look great. Like actually, like, I love
Yeah.
the wheel design on that thing, and I like that they didn't do a black optics package. So like it's a black car, but like you have a chrome grille and bright work and like bright machine finish wheels.
Yeah.
I think that actually like pops a bit. It looks pretty good.
Yeah,
And it's a nice break from like the murdered out we see on every other press car.
yeah, and I think that's fit. Like for Mercedes, that's fitting too, right? Like
Yeah.
you want to see some of that chrome, some of that
Yeah.
that shine. I mean, certainly it's all over the place on every single Mercedes interior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is
Yeah.
shiny and sparkly.
Very shiny, very high gloss.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have the hyperscreen though, which I think is a good thing. I'm not a big fan of the hyperscreen.
No.
I much prefer the infotainment layout in the C4, the single vertical oriented touchscreen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys like that steering wheel? It feels so alien to me with like that.
I don't love the capacitive touch buttons. Like the broken record, the capacitive does
Yeah.
not belong on a steering wheel, and it doesn't belong on that one. I'm not a fan personally.
Yeah.
I think it does it better than Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly recall in the GTI and Golf R, whenever I take a corner, I would like hit the volume, the volume and
change the
tuning
track,
buttons and turn up the radio, change the radio station mid corner. Didn't have that issue in the C43, to Mercedes' credit, and there are a lot of other Mercedes that use that same basic steering wheel design.
Yeah.
So it's still not a problem in.
Do they not all use the exact
neither
same
of
steering
those.
wheel now?
Yeah. It seems like it. That weird sort of. Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
EQE, which we'll get to later.
Isn't it the same?
No.
I could have. All right, whatever.
Well,
I'm
it's
probably wrong.
Yeah, but the EQE doesn't have that, like the two-prong spokes on the side. It's like one.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I see what you
yeah.
mean. Yes. Okay.
Also,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the S. I know the previous gen S class had the
I think the S has like the
two-spoke.
thicker spokes of like.
Do they
the
still
E's.
have the two-spoke steering wheel in the S class?
Is it 2-spoke? I don't recall.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It was recent.
I'm being told off mic it does not. It's 3-spoke now. Anyway, let's talk about this EQE. Actually, wait, no, hang on. Let's back up a little bit. We were having a pretty good conversation about this earlier today around the office. Nick, I don't know if you were present for it. I wasn't. I was filled in later. Imran, curious about your opinion on this. So, sports sedans.
Right.
You've got this Mercedes C43 with like big turbo 4 power
Yeah.
and like slick Mercedes style.
Yeah.
At what did we sticker this thing out to? Like 85 something to that end. Like it starts at 81. It starts at 81 and has like the driver's package.
Yeah.
Which is just an appearance package from what I recall, and that's $4,000. So I'm gonna ballpark it at 85.
Right.
There is the BMW M340i.
Not to butt in here, but 91.7 as tested.
Okay.
That's not a cheap four-cylinder.
Okay, so 91.7 for the C43. You had an M340i last year,
Yes,
and that was
that was roughly 80 as tested.
80 as tested,
Yes.
and that had God's own engine, the B58.
Absolutely.
And God's
And-
transmission, the
and
ZF8. We're
God's
definitely
own
not a
exhaust.
biased outlet. I'm really not trying to be. It's just very good. So there's that. There is the Lexus IS 500, which
Right.
is tied with the Z4 as my favorite press car this year.
And that
at
sticker's at?
$77,000.
77. Okay.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Different
you would-
flavor though.
Yeah, and
I'd say.
then the ATS-V. Sorry, CT5V Blackwing.
CT4V Blackwing.
That's
No,
right,
yeah.
CT4V Blackwing, the one that I had a few weeks ago, and that was I think 82.
Ooh, that's a competitive segment.
What does an S4 go for these days?
I don't know. I actually haven't the faintest idea. Off mic, can we get a look up on that?
I was going to say, is there an S4 still, or is it
It is
all
still in
S5?
production, yeah.
Like, I don't even know if there's an S4
I'm
anymore.
being told there is still an S4 in production.
Really?
He's looking up the sticker on it right now.
Oh.
In the meantime, so between those four, right, we got M340i, C43, a CT4V Blackwing and an IS 500.
That's a very difficult decision between the M340i and the IS 500.
Yeah.
But like, it's very much like,
Yeah.
it's very much catered to like different tastes. If you're a purist, you can choose between the CT4V Blackwing or the IS 500. If you emphasize more tech, more gadgetry, the C43 is arguably up your alley. If you want the best of all worlds, 3 Series.
Yeah, I imagine that the M340i is kind of the sweet spot. But Nick, you're right. Like, they're, as much as these are direct competitors, they're so different.
Yeah, they
Like,
all have very different
different cars.
characters.
yeah, you have like the tech in the Benz. You have, like you said, sort of the all-around BMW-ness of the
Yep.
BMW. The I was about to say ATS.
Yeah.
The CT4 is
Yeah, the CT4 is a
it's
better BMW than BMW.
and it's a 6-speed
yeah.
manual. Like,
It's a
Yeah,
surprisingly-
it drives
Right?
great. It drives so good.
It's
Yeah.
it feels weird to say that the fuck, I was going to say ATSV again.
Yeah, the purest driver's car is a
It's a
Cadillac.
Cadillac of all
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
yeah, and there's no sarcasm here. Like, that's
Yeah, like
that's
actually,
true.
like
Yeah.
incredibly good. I was absolutely floored. I still think about that thing. I remember I didn't adore it that week because it was in this uncanny valley of being very close to being a classic BMW,
Yeah.
but not a classic BMW.
Yep.
But I'm still thinking about it like it's a classic BMW. It's
No,
really good.
it was good, and then lastly this Lexus, and which is also of all people Lexus
Yeah.
keeping the 5-liter fire-breathing V8 alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Nick, you and I are on the same page. We'd probably agree that the M340i is probably the most like all-round competent, like upper alley, probably the best objective vehicle.
Yeah. Subjectively,
I take the IS500 without blinking
Absolutely.
every time,
Yeah.
every single
Really?
time. Yeah.
Even as much as you were singing the praises of the Blackwing, you were enjoying it. I remember
I
that.
like the Blackwing. It drove ridiculously well, but for me, there was like some little. I think the biggest problem with me is that because it was so close to being a classic BMW, if I wanted that flavor, I would just go get a classic BMW.
So I missed out on the IS 500. I did have an ISF in the past. Is it just the noise, or is there more to it
There's-
that you love?
That is a great question. The noise is a large thing, and you know
It
how I
is.
feel about like not letting noise cloud things too much. Like I've brought up the point of like if you were deaf, would this car still be good?
it's not so much noise. I find it's more the sound because it's more
What?
Right. You can make noise.
Oh, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant
You can make noise. I can make noise right now. Blah 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 blah. That's noise. The IS 500 sounds good. There's
Yeah.
complexity to its exhaust note.
And induction noise.
Induction noise is a big one.
yeah, oral pleasure.
It starts off
Yeah.
demure. It
URAL.
turns into a thunderous roar as soon as you like rev it out.
Yeah.
But like take the take the C43. It just sounds like an angry sewing machine when you ring it out.
I
Snap.
think, yeah, to kind of backpedal a little bit, to get away from the sound. So what I really admired about the thing, other than the sound, and oh my God, the sound is so good, is I like that it has like decidedly the most relaxed feel of all these sports sedans. Not in a numb way, not in a bad way. It's just very chill, and it's by far the best daily. It's the quietest. It's the best riding. To me, it was very reminiscent of an old Mercedes. Like, it was deliberate. It had like a nice heft to it, and it was communicative and solid and like satisfying, but not like. I find all these other sports sedans are a little too overeager, a little darty, a little artificially, and for me,
Right.
the Lexus not trying to be
Yeah.
overeager was just a lot more satisfying. I also liked big torque, big natural torque. I thought the transmission was good, not perfect, but very good, and limited slip diff. So it was actually like a nice, playful, compliant chassis that wasn't too hard, it wasn't too on edge, it was easy to get out, easy to balance, easy to play with. I, as someone who enjoys older cars, absolutely adored it. I got into that thing, and it was like a warm handshake from an old friend
So
for the first time.
would you say it's in like the realm of the older like ISFs?
I never drove one of those.
Okay, so the ISF I found it was like great engine, decent transmission, and decent everything else, which makes for a great daily. But when you're thinking of if you want to be more on the sports side of a sports sedan, I actually tracked that thing a couple times and it was horrendous.
Yeah. And the flip side is I've never done a track day. And like for a daily, I don't really care to, right? I want to have some fun. I want to play with it. I want to rip it on ramp once in a while, and I want to have some like decent acoustics behind me. And that nailed it. And it can do the casual drift. So many cars can't do a casual drift anymore. You have to turn like 70 things off and then put your foot down and wait for the all-wheel drive to kind of think about the meaning of life and then defeat itself and then fling you forward anyway until the front end scrambles and tries to catch up. Whereas with the ISF, you can lean into it a little bit and it'll rotate a little bit without making a racket, and it's glorious.
Yeah, but so does the M340i. Just
does it?
I mean, as long as you
Does it? BMWs don't do that. They're full send. They are like kill or not. Kill or chill. That's all they know.
What do you mean? They have those drift score things now in there.
Exactly, so you can see how much you killed. I love BMWs, but they have no chill.
But like, as much as we agree that, like, to us, the IS500 might be the sports sedan that we would put our own money down towards. I would say to most of the buying public, who BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lexus actually sell their cars to. The M340i still blends that communicative nature, that delicious engine, the sound, in a bit more of a modern package.
Yeah,
because that's the thing about the IS500. It's great chassis, great road manners, but the interior does feel dated in that thing.
Yeah, I think we'd all recommend the 340i. We're doing like the Clarkson meme where it's like, this is very good.
Yes.
But I like this.
Yeah.
It's just oozes dripping with character. Like, it's just got so much charm and personality.
Yeah. I guess we're saying that there's our choice and then the right choice. The right choice is the 340.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe the CT4V Blackwing if you don't need a back seat that often.
Yeah. CT4V is very good. It was very, very good.
Yeah. Coming back around to that the C43. I don't think it would be my pick. I could see why people would like it. I think it's for people who say they want a sports sedan but don't want a sports sedan. I think it's a little bit like that. So I have an AMG. I have something that's sporty, but in reality, like, I don't think it would keep up with something like a 340i or a Blackwing, whether in outright numbers or just fun factor.
Character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it hits the right notes for its target demographic. It looks the part. It makes the noises.
Yeah. I wonder how quick the new C63 with this. Yes, I know it's still a 4-cylinder and hybrid and all that stuff.
I think it was in like low threes.
But yeah, because this thing was the
quick.
43 was pretty quick. So the 63 is probably going to be like, hang on.
Yeah, but again, I fully admit that the 4-liter twin turbo V8 in the previous C63 was a darling of an engine, and it just pains me to know that you can't get it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the character was one of the biggest aspects that drew me towards the previous C63s, but the fact that it's now a 4-cylinder it's a dagger through my heart.
Yeah, like they went all in with this quote unquote update, right? Like, and AMGs are sort of like, you can even argue in some ways that BMW M cars aren't as tied to their engines as previous AMGs were. In terms of like their character, if you will. I feel like that V8, like you're talking about, and even previous gen AMG V8s, the 6.3 and all that stuff, like, they were just, that was the whole essence of the car. And that's kind of gone now.
Sad. Speaking of Mercedes with no engines, we also got an EQE 500 in the garage this week.
What do you think of that? I have yet to...
Yeah, Nick, you got that one. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, we were having this discussion as well earlier today in the office, and I agree with you, Nathan. It's, of all the EQ products, the EQE is probably the least offensive, because you also had the EQE 500 sedan earlier this year.
in
which
the
is
primer
basically-
gray that you're so fond of. And like I kind of liked it. Like I think it looked good. It hit the notes of being like futuristic-y looking
Yeah.
without being like over the top like the EQS is.
Yeah.
Drove well, handled well, good range. Like
It's a pretty good all-rounder. It's also pretty pricey because I do have the spec sheet queued up here.
yeah, aren't they like one? I think mine was, if I recall correctly, 130. So the SUV is probably a few more.
Starts at 104.9. This one, as tested, is 127,330.
I gotta go back and check my notes.
So
Wow.
that's a lot.
And is
of money.
this thing littered with tech as the EQS was?
It's not as over the top as the EQS. It still has the hyperscreen,
Right.
Which again, not a fan of.
Yeah, especially it's a $10,000 option too.
It's a $10,000 option.
$10,000 option. Or at least it was on my EQE sedan. I assume it's the same on the SUV.
It's stupid money. I think this one's about this one's a $9,000 option.
Yeah.
But it's still crazy money for what's basically three
It's just
separate
three screens in one
hid
gloss
beh-
black
yeah.
frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really I don't care for that. On my EQE, so I just had like we were discussing earlier, like the large vertical
Yeah.
portrait style
I prefer
screen that
that.
goes up the middle, and it was kind of floating over like, I don't know if it was real or not, but like some sort of synthesized open pore like gray wood that gave like a little bit of organic touch to an otherwise
Yep.
very like synthetic futuristic interior, and I like that contrast.
I like that because it kind of like channels the Mercedes-Benz that we're used to. It's sort of like that understated classiness that kind of blends classiness with tech. I don't get that sense in the EQE in the EQE 500
because
with
you're losing that texture from the
Yeah.
dashboard. It's just
Yeah.
gloss, screen, gloss, like just more tech, more future. Yeah,
All the
more
tech.
fingerprints, more dust.
But yeah, it's less offensive than the EQS.
And like it makes
feel like-
sense. Like it's good range.
Yeah.
There's like
What is the range, June?
I think
Yeah.
500-ish.
500-ish kilometers. I picked it up with a 91% charge, and it was showing about 480 kilometers, which is still more than enough for what most people need.
Yeah.
And that's not even on a full charge.
Yeah, and like it's comfy, quiet as they all are. Lots of cargo space, good use of space. Like the cabin is pretty well thought
Yep.
out. I don't
Yep.
love the way Mercedes does things, but like it works pretty well to that end. If you want like that futuristic style.
Material quality is still kind of a miss for me. Like if you didn't tell me how much it cost, I would say based on like sitting in it alone, I'd say it feels like it's more worth like 60 grand because there's like a decent amount of like hard touch on the door panels and lower dash. Kind of not exactly what you would expect out of a $130,000 electric car, but definitely a bit less. It's definitely more passable in the EQE than in the EQS.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're learning that this sort of proliferates throughout all of their
Yeah.
newer models right now.
Yeah.
Like there's it's just not what you expect out of a Mercedes. Like we're so used to them being literal bank vaults back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So to have
Yeah.
any sort of scratchy plastics and whatnot is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
All the budget probably went into the hyperscreen.
Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know if the regular consumer market loves those screens.
I feel like I'm also in the minority here. I kind of like M-Bucks.
You're in the minority among us.
Yeah. But like it's
It's not bad.
it's intuitive enough. I find it more intuitive than their old knob-based system, which by the way the G63 still has.
Oh,
And like the voice commands are pretty smart. They're pretty responsive, and like they can actually tell jokes.
Really? I found they're very like hit or miss, and like I did my very best to enunciate and speak clearly, and I would
Yeah.
get different responses.
It likes me. I mean, like I asked
Okay.
like, hey Mercedes, turn on the heated steering wheel. Maybe it's a bit like it might be a bit slow to like use certain functions as it
Right.
like sort of thinks, but by and large it still executes my commands.
Yeah, I think for me, like, my thing was, like, I was kind of deliberately being dumb because I would get in, I would try to find, like, the seat massage button or function, couldn't find it, so I tried telling the car to do it for me, and then it told me to download a smart home app. Like,
really?
Okay.
Did I
like,
say
guys,
that?
come on. Like,
Yeah.
Nice.
and, like, it's voice activation. Everyone's kind of iffy with it. Like, so be it. I don't love Mercedes user design. When I got to live with it, you got to learn it, and it's fine. I just don't find it's very intuitive at first blush.
Yeah, so I agree. I think the Mercedes UI is, you have to spend time with it.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of those that are just intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, like, I feel like they've, not that they've tried to make it complicated, but they want you to know it's techie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
look
know?
at how many
Like,
features.
Yes.
Yeah, look at the screen. Screen for you.
There's
screen
so
for me.
much
Screen for
technology.
everyone.
So many buttons. Like, it's just, like
No buttons.
Well,
so many
look at
no
the-
buttons.
so many no buttons. Yeah.
Look at the ambient lighting. Ambient lighting is the future. This is luxury. Luxury is lighting.
Yeah, very, very much so. I will say, among like the highest resolution screens.
Yes,
that
I
I'll
will
Yeah,
give them
yeah,
credit.
their displays are,
they
like,
are
top-notch.
very sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, my OLED at home costs less than a hyperscreen.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but your OLED is only one screen. The hyperscreen is three screens.
That's right. Hey,
And they're hyper.
77 inches, baby.
It is bigger than the hyperscreen. It's funny when you touched on Imran. When you touched on the Corsair changing lanes for you, I tried that out with the. Okay, so let me backpedal here. With the EQE 500, I'm fully embracing the Nathan Leipzig guidebook to NPC mobiles, and that I'm letting it do basically all the driving for me. Of course, while still actually looking out the windows.
Right.
And it feels like the lane change function specifically, it's really weird to get used to it at first, but it's actually really clever.
So,
Like, you mean in this Mercedes in particular compared to others, or are you just starting
Just
to
in
play with this
general.
now for the first time and realizing they're all kind of weird?
Well, yes, and in the sense that, you know,
Oh, it's
after
Bobby's first NPC. Look
So-
at him. He hasn't done this before.
learning how to NPC.
hey, it was my first two in the Lincoln actually, and the Lincoln would suggest a lane change. Did the Mercedes do that? It would come up on
think mine
screen.
did.
I think it only does it when you have route guidance activated.
Yes.
But with the EQE, all you have to do is like flip on the turn signal. It monitors blind spots for you, and it just changes lanes when it.
Wait,
when
hang
it
on.
deems
Have
it.
you guys been driving these like new fancy automated self-guiding appliances manually this whole time?
No,
Did I just turn you on to this?
No, I don't think I had another press car that had lane change capability.
What about adaptive cruise?
No, adaptive cruise, yeah, but that's
do you use it?
Yeah, I
Adaptive
use
cruise
it.
control.
I just found out apparently like I'm one of the minorities among us that actually uses it regularly.
I use adaptive cruise control regularly, not so much like lane change assist.
Okay.
Because that's usually tied with lane departure warnings, and I don't like how most lane departure warning systems operate.
Yeah, but like most now are just lane centering. They just kind of keep it in the middle of the lane. Just keep like a finger on the wheel so it knows you're there and just kind of like does it all for you.
Yeah, no, but
If I'm on the highway, the car's driving for me.
Great to drive into work this morning. It was great.
The Lincoln's was great. Like it would suggest a lane change. It literally says lane change suggested. I think those are the actual words.
Nice.
And then you hit the turn signal stalk and it says preparing lane change.
Yeah.
And then it just does it.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how the EQE's lane change assist works like in traffic. But I'm not sure.
It will like wait until you're clear.
Like way too clear to the point where it won't actually.
No,
someone will
it's
cut you
pretty
off.
smart about it.
Yeah?
It's pretty good about it. Yeah.
You know,
Cautious, but it works well.
Actually, here's a question, Nathan. I've owned vehicles that have this feature, like the park assist stuff. I have never tried it.
Okay, I didn't. It was Rush turned me on to park assist because even I was like, I'm going to be a curmudgeon. I'll park myself. Like,
Right.
But I'll use the cameras because like
Yeah, of course.
new car. Let it help me out, right? What's the whole point? I'm used to old shit boxes, so it's having something new and nice that'll drive for me. Okay, I'll let it. This is nice. But it was Rush who actually, we were in the Range Rover we had a few weeks ago. He's like, let's try the park assist. I'm like, no. He's like, no, dude. Like, think about it. Some guy or girl spent a lot of time, probably their whole careers, like learning how to code and develop this stuff. They spent so many hours trying to make this right and make it a product just for you so that this behemoth can park itself on its own. It's a miracle of engineering
Like
that
making
someone
you feel
worked
guilty?
really
Like-
hard on. You should try it. And I thought about this person, like, okay, I'll try it. And since then, I've been trying it.
So are we talking about like backing into a spot? Or are we talking about parallel parking? Which one did
I haven't
you try?
tried parallel parking because I am like deathly afraid of curbing rims on most
Yeah,
cars.
yeah.
But like backing into a spot, like, okay, I'll try it. And like with the 7 I had last week, like
Mm-hmm.
I was a dick about it. I didn't even like set up for a spot nicely. I just like
Okay.
stopped randomly on an angle somewhere,
Yeah.
put in reverse, hit park, and it just did it.
So when you say just did it,
It like backed up, went forward to correct, and then backed in again.
what was your involvement in this?
0.
Like
the
zero,
seven,
as
zero.
in like don't
You
even
don't have
touch
to,
the brakes, or
So like, you know, you got your foot on the brake, put it in reverse.
Yeah.
Then you hit the button on the screen for like prepare for park assist, whatever it's called.
okay, let go of the
And
brake,
then, and then it flashes, okay, ready, release brake,
right?
and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And then
You don't
do
have to
it.
do the brakes.
No.
Did it ever have to correct itself?
Yeah. But like
And-
it does it all on the fly. Like you're not involved. As soon as you let go of the brake, you are not involved.
No, I'm saying did it ever have to like move back up to correct itself?
Yeah.
And then,
Well, because like I didn't set it up right, so it had to do
Yeah.
a 3-point to get in the spot.
but then,
But it calculated it and did it, and
No,
it was
but
parked dead straight.
what I mean is like, is it telling you to put it back in drive so it can move up a
No,
bit?
no, it just figures it out.
So it's putting itself back in drive,
Yeah, if
moving
it
up,
sees
putting
if it
it back
sees
in reverse.
because like if it sees a spot and it
That's
calculates
nuts.
it like yo, I can fit into that spot.
Yeah.
It'll say ready and do it.
Right.
Yeah. And if it doesn't see a spot or if it doesn't think it can do a spot, then it just won't show ready.
I'm still so paranoid to try that. I had a Mini Cooper that had this,
Yeah.
and I've
It
never
got,
tried
It
it.
On the
got
mark-
frighteningly close to a couple of cars, but also like it's radar guided. It knows exactly how much
Right.
room it has.
I used the active park assist exactly once on my Mark 7 GTI just to see how cool it is.
Yeah.
Personally, I park faster than that computer does.
Sure.
So it's kind of pointless for me because
Humble brag.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but like
I mean,
what
I'm
I do too
not
is like
gonna
I can
use
set
it in
myself
Toronto.
up and do it in one shot.
Yeah.
But like it was just neat to watch this like Leviathan park itself.
I think one of the funniest experiences I've had with Park Assist was in my old condo. I tried to make a pre-refresh Ford Escape. It was like in 2019 or 2020. Park in my spot, and it fully parked over the line.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Rush turned me on to some that BMWs do. I think Rangies do it too. I'm not sure. I forget what it's called, but basically it's like prepare route or memorize route or something like that. Or so like I have a long driveway. I stop on the street, I put in reverse, and I back up a long driveway and into my parking spot. You can set up the BMW to memorize that route and do it every time. Automatically.
Oh, like as in to know
Yeah.
where to end this
Yeah.
parking endeavor?
Yeah, so like it'll start on the street. It'll park.
Yeah.
It'll go 30 feet down my driveway, knowing like the parking spot's
Yeah.
back here.
Oh, it's like
You can
recording a
program it to
route.
remember that route based on like GPS and stuff.
Oh, that is so
That's
interesting.
crazy how well it works.
Yeah, that's useful.
Yeah, super useful.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, I'll give it a shot in the Lincoln. I'll let you know how it goes
Yeah, man.
next week.
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
Next week to see if the robot can park better than Imran.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's a good place to pack it in.
What do we got next week?
I don't know. You made the schedule. What do we have next week?
I know.
I have an MDX, I think, an Acura
You do have
MDX.
the MDX
yeah.
Platinum Elite. That should be good.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I enjoyed the RDX that I had, so
Yeah.
looking forward to its bigger brother.
John's got a Highlander Hybrid Limited, which is not the Grand Highlander, but it has been refreshed for this year, the standard Highlander. Nathan, you had the last Highlander.
I had the last Highlander, yeah, and I thought it was due for some updating, so it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how this comes out.
I have the Volkswagen ID4, so 2 EVs in a row. I'm actually looking forward to that one. I haven't had... So, a few months ago, I drove the Audi Q4 e-tron, which is basically the fancier ID4. So, it'd be interesting to see, like, just how much of that, like, how much it is similar between the two. So, it'll be an interesting frame of comparison. And... Nathan, you're doing truck things next week with the F-250 diesel.
Oh, yeah.
Big truck.
For men. Yeah.
Rugged.
I haven't had a big truck in a while. I'm looking forward to this. I like trucks.
I wonder if it's going to have the floppy knob.
That's right. That's right.
I think 250s have do they have the floppy knob or the column knob?
Those still exist?
Do they still exist? I haven't had like an HH.
Well, technically they exist in Mercedes. They're column
do.
knobs.
right? They all
They
have
do.
a column knob.
The C43 is a sports sedan with a column-mounted shift knob,
Yep.
just like your old
LTD.
LTD.
Plymouth Voyager.
Yep.
Very good then.
Again. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a slice. Thank you for listening. Gentlemen, thank you for joining in studio this week. For those who wish to follow along with our adventures, you can keep tabs on us on socials at doubleclutch.ca.
Very good. Thanks for listening, guys. And please remember to like and subscribe and recommend. It helps do algorithm things for us. We like that.
Definitely. See you on the next one.
See you next week.
Take care.